Alone, I'm an empty rhyme. Your body connects my lines. Two hands behind the sun. You whisper my knots undone. All this time I thought I'd be gone. Was waiting for your love to come. I'm clay in your hands, you shape me. I don't exist, you make me. You make me, you make me. You make my mind wanna break free. You make me, you make me. You make your love feel so easy. You make me, you make me. You make my mind wanna break free. You make me, you make me. You make your love feel so easy. Each distance is measured in rings.
Join us in the whole room.
Baby, give me a
Hello to all delegates, distinguished guests, and all guests present here today. To start today's event, I would like you to welcome Miss Ting Song, AI and NFT artist, to come to the stage and share her thoughts and feelings. Please welcome her.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for waking up so early. Yeah, we succeeded. My name is Ting Song. I'm now the first and the only crypto artist now collected by a national museum. And that's my second time in Ho Chi Minh City. 都一等拉丁. That's it. And today I'm gonna deliver a short show with a virtual human being on chain played the main character. The virtual being is called Mina. Mina is from Vietnam. So Mina is gonna sing a song. So all the music you're gonna hear in 2 minutes will be all generated by AIs. So it's not human being made, it's AI made. Meanwhile, all the 3D modeling parts, the visuals are generated by AIs too. It took me 7 days to do a 3D modeling coffee apartment because I love that. It's a very famous store apartment in the center of Ho Chi Minh City. And there 3 times pull-up will show up in 2 minutes. So scan the pull-up, the link. You may get a gift of a short music of the whole MV in some days. When I'm not sure actually, but if you see the QR code, scan it. There will be 3 times. So enjoy Mina's show. I wanna say that AIGC era is coming, and we could generate an IP with different kinds of AI power. And come on, see you in Mina's world.
I enjoy challenges. I enjoy challenges. I win it. I win it. I win it. All together in the beautiful Web3 dreamland, friends hand by hand. All together in the beautiful Web3 dreamland, friends hand by hand. See the rainbow light. See the rainbow light. See the rainbow light.
A session to kickstart today. We will discuss the topic lessons on GameFi, Metaverse, and the future. In the past, many of you here must have wondered, like me, is GameFi or Metaverse or not? As far as I know, GameFi is in general lacks quite a lot of things to be able to become a true metaverse. So it can be seen that GameFi is not metaverse. Metaverse will provide richer, community-based, and immersive experiences for all. But what are the lessons that GameFi and Metaverse have taught us? How can we use those lessons in the future? I would like to invite the experts with many years of experience in GameFi and Metaverse to help answer the questions. Mr. Andy Ho, from Chief Technology Officer from Axie Infinity. Mr. Brian Liu, founder of YGGC. Ms. T. Chuong, co-founder of ICT Labs. Jeannie Lee, head of partnership, Clayton Foundation. With the moderator, Jeffrey C., founder of POCO. Please welcome.
Hello, testing. Hi, good morning, everyone. Very happy you all can make it after I think what must be a pretty wild night of partying and networking. So thank you very much and congratulations on making it to the morning session today. My name is Jeffrey. I'm the founder of POCO, which is a payments infrastructure company focusing on Web3 games and infrastructure in terms of fiat on-ramps. I think today, super excited to be speaking to a very, very diverse panel. You know, we have Jeannie from Clayton Foundation, so coming in more from the protocol side, the infrastructure side of things. We have T, who's from GameFi.com, right? Or GameFi.org? Okay. It's just a game publisher for Web3. We have Brian from YGG Southeast Asia. Needs no introduction, you know, one of the most successful gaming guilds in the world. And we have Andy, who's the CTO for Sky Mavis, which has brought to us the amazing Axie Infinity, which we all know and which we're all kind of learning from. So super excited to be with this amazing panelists. I think I just want to kick off with a warm-up question, right? Do you believe Web3 gaming will bring us the next billion users of blockchain technology? Maybe anyone wants to go first? Jenny?
Hi everyone. Maybe let me just give a brief introduction in Vietnamese first, because I used to live in Saigon last time. So xin chào các bạn Việt Nam. Tôi tên là Jenny. Tôi là người Hàn Quốc. Tôi là người Hàn Quốc và tôi đang làm việc ở bên Clayton. Clayton là blockchain arm của công ty Kakao của Hàn Quốc. Thì hồi xưa thì tôi đã sống ở bên Sài Gòn khoảng 5 năm, cho nên tôi nói được tiếng Việt. Okay, so that's it for the brief introduction. Okay, so regarding your question about the Web3 gaming, whether it will enhance the Web3 market, I mean the gaming, whether gaming will enhance the Web3 market, I strongly believe that gaming is a crucial industry or sector for metaverse to evolve, because it has a very large user base. And from Clayton's perspective, we have AAA gaming studios that we're partnering with us, and a lot of them are South Korean-based gaming studios, including Netmarble or Neowiz. And all this gaming studio has a great gaming IPs, and it already has a large user base, and they're quite familiar with the concept of the metaverse. So I believe that this is a crucial factor for large user adoption.
Yeah, my name is T, and so we believe in the metaverse and gaming for Web3, but it depends on the timing. Metaverse is longer and further in the future, but we believe that human generation future generation will spend most of their time in metaverse. And we even think that in the future, there will be virtual economies that is larger than real world economy. But it's a far in the future. So in the short term, I think gaming, Web3 gaming has more realistic scenarios. So why we believe in Web3 gaming? Because in Web2 traditional games, there are already concepts and primitives similar to blockchain concepts. Like they already have in-game currency, they have game items, they have in-game economies, and that match perfectly to blockchain concepts. And another thing is, if we apply blockchain technology correctly to gaming, it will bring many benefits: ownership, transparency, liquidity, decentralized governance. So we believe that gaming will be the main adoption for blockchain, and gaming is best use case for blockchain. That's my opinion.
Hi, my name is Brian. So I'm going to come at this at a different perspective. Not only am I the co-founder of YGSCA, I'm also the founding partner of IVC, and we're heavily invested in a lot of games and GameFi. So from our perspective, we probably invested about 40% of our fund in games and GameFi, and lately we have kind of pivoted our business model for investing into more studios. So the last companies we invested in was Come to Us and FunPlus, two of the largest publishing studios in Asia. Come to Us is number 3 behind Netmarble and Remix in Korea, and then you have FunPlus, which is behind NetEase and Tencent Gaming, and both those are number 3, and they have games such as Guns of Glory, Summoners of War that have brought in billions of dollars of revenue into their ecosystem. Now, these two companies have come together to create their own layer 1 chain called Expla, where they are now porting over these games, such as Summoners of War, that brought in $3 billion in revenue over the last 6 years, and Guns of Glory that did about the same. So when you think about it, these are proven Web 2 or freemium games that have hundreds of millions of users that will eventually be playing these games via Web3, but they might not know it's going to be Web3, because I think both these companies are going to be going a Web 2.5 model first, but eventually all these games will be ported on to their own layer 1 chain, which will be focused on blockchain gaming.
Hello. Hi, I'm Andy from SkyMavis, the creator of ETHVietnam. For your onboarding question, I think to reach billions of people, it is the effort of the whole industry, whether it is DeFi, whether it is wallet, whether it is gaming. However, in ETHVietnam, we already introduced the blockchain and bring the benefit of blockchain technology to millions of people. Which they didn't know about blockchain, about Web3, about wallet before. So at ETHVietnam, we believe that gaming is one of the very crucial parts in terms of onboarding people into Web3, and gaming is the most approachable way that it is easy to grab concept, and it is really good in terms of attracting more people, because they have something to play, they have a lot of content to consume, and that is we think that it is the easiest way to bring billions of people into this industry. So we at SkyMavis, we want to apply the lesson and the infrastructure and the community we have built through the year to ETHVietnam to scale it more and to apply it to other games via our publishing platform. So that is our approach for the future.
Cool. Thanks so much for the introductory remarks. I think I have a question for, I think first for Andy and then for Brian. So, we saw that first generation of the play to earn model using Web3 technology. And then I think that's, when we talk to a lot of game studios now, it seems like one of the complaints they have is that, oh, a lot of my gamers or the people come in to trade, to speculate, but not many of them actually play the game or engage with the game. So there's a shift in terms of model, right? We hear like kind of like free to play, freemium models, kind of more traditional gaming models. Just kind of want to get your sense for how is the model for Web3 gaming changing? What have you seen in the market, or what are you experimenting with? And and how do you feel Web3 adds to the gaming experience? What is the key benefit you see in it?
Yeah, I think Web3 games is like any other industries, other business. It evolves over time. At the first like iteration, a lot of people are like attracted to the financial gain that a Web3 game can bring. However, so we need to go back into root of the problem, like why do gamers need Web3? So firstly, they need a fun game first. So that is the most like prominent problem Web3 games studio need to solve. That they need to create a fun and like content-rich experience for gamers. However, for the Web3 elements, the blockchain technology can bring the ownership back to the gamers, back to everyone who using it. So after you have a fun game, you can feel the benefit of the ownership, because most of the traditional games, most of your time and effort spending into the game actually belong to the game publisher, the game creator, not belong to the gamers, the users. So Web2 game bring it back, bring your ownership, bring your time and effort back to the gamers. And the second thing is community. A good Web3 game should have a strong community. So they are incentivized to contribute and to collaborate together to create a lot of content within the community and enrich the experience for the game itself.
So to add to that, yes, I mean, the first generation is play to earn. I think right now it's more play and earn. So I'll tell you a little bit of experience for my own. I got into mobile gaming probably about 10 years ago, and I played a game called Game of War by Machine Zone, the same founder who did Digigaku right now. And that game was the #1 ARPU game on both Google Play and Apple App Store. I'm not proud of it, but I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that game. Now, think about it. If that was a Web3 game where I actually owned the gold, if I owned the materials, if I owned just the resources on that game, I would have recuperated hundreds of thousands back just by selling it to the other players that couldn't afford to buy what I was spending. Now, in that game, people were farming resources. We called them grinders. They were farming resources and selling it to me, and transferring resources to me overnight when I was sleeping. Now, that was already a use case of play and earn, or play to earn. And we feel like that in the coming iterations of these freemium games porting over to Web3, that there's going to be players that are going to be spending, but there's also going to be players that are going to be grinding and then making money off of it. So it's going to be more skill-based and not so much just playing and easily making money from the games that we saw in the first generation of Play to Earn.
Yeah, so it seems one of the theme I'm picking up there is that there's an attempt to broaden Web3 games to a more traditional gaming audience. And I think one of the things that, when we do like fiat on-ramps, everyone complains that it is confusing, very high failure rate, very poor onboarding experience, right? I have to go convert my fiat into crypto, go to an exchange, take it out into maybe my wallet, go to a DEX, convert it into the in-game token, and then buy a game asset. I just wonder, how can we make onboarding of traditional gamers into Web3 games easier? Maybe you can start with T. You work in game publisher. I'm sure that's one of the things you think a lot about.
First thing I want to mention that for now, everyone talk about making a game must be fun and we must onboard Web2 users. Yeah, so that's a way of thinking. But initial users, for example, Axie, PT, and everyone, they are people, labor working for money. So they're different audience. So my point is, when we involve finance into gaming, it will change the psychology and behavior of players forever. So it will not be the same audience as Web2 gaming. So I think it could be a new type audience. It will be mixed between the laborers and the Web2 players. So it will be something new, and we need to observe to see how it will work out. And secondly, because GameFi.org, we are developing what we call user engagement layer to connect gamers to Web3 games. So we think a lot about how to make the experience seamlessly. Like, people don't need to know that it applies blockchain technology until it becomes necessary. Like until they need to withdraw NFT for something. So one thing is we delay all the nuisance of blockchain, and second, we need to provide some way to manage the private key more Web2 friendly. And finally, I think fiat on RAM is very important. And then we are working with many providers to make fiat on RAM easier for crypto users, and I think make it possible for everyone to participate without the knowledge of blockchain is very important at the moment. But one thing I should note, it's like when you make it more user friendly, it will be more centralized. So it's a trade-off, like a decentralized chain to centralized chains. And at some time in the future, there will be some platform who stop user from withdraw their NFT or something, and we will discuss about it. It's like a snake moving forward. You sing to left, sing to right, and it will be the way we move forward.
I want to pick up on one of the point and direct the question at Ginny. So you mentioned that this is a new kind of gamers, right? It's a mix of finance and it's a mix of gaming. You came from a traditional finance background. You're now at Clayton Foundation, which is focused, it's a protocol focused on games as one of the key verticals. How do you think about this this mindset coming from traditional finance?
I think at the end of the day, the key verticals that Clayton is focusing on at the moment is about the gaming and the entertainment in the metaverse. So in terms of the question previously that you give to us about how to be adopting these Web2 gamers to Web3, I think that the speed is very important. So Clayton actually provides like a 1 second, immediate finality. So in that perspective, we have the technology to provide the gaming developers to develop more seamless way. And the second point is that community is very important for gamers as well. So Clayton actually partnered with the esports teams such as EVOS, the biggest Southeast Asian esports team, as well as T1, which is the esports team in South Korea as well. So we try to engage and interact with all these participants to be part of our Web3 game developments.
I'm going to push on that a little bit because you mentioned the speed was important. But I feel like most of the friction doesn't come from the settlement times, right? Most of the friction comes from, just how do I get started on a Web3 game? And I just wonder whether maybe, like Brian or Andy, if you have any thoughts on it, given that, onboarding gamers is one of the key things that you're doing.
So yeah, onboarding is always the story in blockchain technology, in crypto, in Web3. In IC, we learn from the experience. We learn from the lesson when we operate IC Trinity for a few years. So right now we are working on a few initiatives. Firstly, we want to make the wallet easier to manage. So previously you need to write down your private key and you need to self-custody your private key. But we are working on a social login feature for our new wave of users that they don't need to manage their private key themselves. Secondly, we want to kind of encapsulate the blockchain technology, specifically our Ronin network infrastructure, so people don't necessarily need to learn about the blockchain when they use our service. So we are working on doing some partnership to bring on more games into Ronin, and and we also have builder programs that our community can develop their games using the ICNVD IP. A lot of them come up with really creative way to kind of sell their in-game items without needing to deploy smart contract, and a lot of initiative that I think really impressive for the community. So yeah, in SkyMabit we have some initiative, but I think the most important thing is that we need to encourage and leverage the community for their creativeness.
So speaking on a YGG perspective, or the YGG family and all the sub-DAOs that we have about 60,000 scholars still around the world, which is number one right now. For YGG SCA, we have about 17,000 scholars, and most of our SCA scholars might not be the most technical. So as a YGG family, this is something we talked about at the sub-DAO meeting we just had. And between YGG SCA and YGG Japan, we have developed a wallet where we partnered up with a Taiwan company called CryptoGo, where we can do a login with just your email. And exactly what Andy said, where all you need is an email, and the private key will be stored with us, and it will be very easy for the users to onboard and use. And I think that is the most important, because for a lot of users, that private key is very difficult to get by, because they don't want to lose it. If you lose it, that's it. So you have all these companies out there and all these wallets that are inventing new ways to sign in, just so you don't have to worry about that private key.
Sorry, it's like getting to a very technical and, for me, very geeky and exciting discussion. I just came from DEF CON in Bogota, where we're talking about account abstraction and all those stuff. So not sure if I should drive that discussion in that direction. I think one of the things that I found really interesting about this space is that, I came from more traditional entertainment background. My co-founder used to run Netflix in Southeast Asia and Australia and New Zealand. And one of the things they always discuss is that the user growth for Netflix came from Asia and Latin America, but the monetization came from US and Europe. But I think Web3 gaming is very interesting, because when we look at the numbers for Titan Arena, for X Infinity, it seems like 80–70% of your users came from Brazil and Philippines. So I wanted to ask, kind of, where is the gaming community for Web3 gaming coming from? Is there a reason why it is so strong in some of these developing countries? And do you all see it kind of changing, kind of going forward? Maybe anyone wants to...
I guess I can say that, because if you talk about play to earn, the capital of play to earn is in Southeast Asia, but the capital of the Southeast Asia play to earn is in Philippines. And the reason for that, you got to think about it, is because back then, doesn't matter if it's Philippines or anywhere within Southeast Asia, people are making $50 a month, $100 a month. We had scholars that were living under a bridge at the beginning of this year. And when they started playing Axie, or it wasn't for us, Thane Arena, but it was more the shark game. I forgot the name of it. The one on the Binance chain. That one made them thousands of dollars. They were able to, at the peak, make about 1,000 US dollars a month. And we had people that were living under bridges, living in cars, that were able to actually move into an apartment just from that. And that's because their monthly earnings is much lower than anywhere else in the world. And that's why Southeast Asia or even Latin America is where the play to earn is booming.
But compared to say like Indonesia, right? You kind of have the same socioeconomic status. Is there a reason why it kind of took off so crazily in Philippines, but maybe not so much in Indonesia versus in Indonesia?
Well, for Philippines, that's quite easy. Is because during the last administration, Duterte instituted a no work, no pay during the harshest lockdown in the Philippines. And that was for about 2 months where if you didn't work, you didn't get paid. And that was where Axie had the biggest boom in Southeast Asia because the community found a way to make money. And YGG was at the core of that because Gabby, the founder of YGG, started investing millions of dollars into Axie and then distributing it to most of the Philippine population. And I think that contributed to the boom.
What about, Ginny, your focus, you know Korea much better. Like, it's very high income demographic there. Do you see kind of like similar reasons to adopt Web3 gaming in a richer market like that?
Yes. So we have a use case. One of our partner has launched the MMORPG game, which is called Ni no Kuni. And then that has a huge success because it has around about 5 million downloads. So it kind of shows that the gamers are willing to try out the Web3 gamings. And on the side point, we want to see the reason why the Southeast Asian is it's a market where a lot of Web3 gaming developers are focusing on because, for example, I just want to give an example of Vietnam because Vietnam has the high mobile phone user penetration rates, as well as a very young population, and market sentiment is very vibrant. So I believe that this is a great market for the developers' perspective, and we, Clayton, is looking to recruit a lot of more developer ambassador. So we have a booth at the right in front. So if anyone is interested, then we're welcoming you guys.
Yeah. And T, you mentioned the intersection of finance and gaming, right? And one thing I'm curious, coming from a more traditional fintech background, was, do you see people, aside from earning, do you see this as a way to introduce other kinds of financial concepts or financial literacy to the audience? Do you see any interesting games trying to do that?
Yeah, we are working with many games, and they are trying many different ways. And even recently, we worked with games, and yeah, they recognize that Philippines and Brazil more focus on earning, and the Japan or European focus on game playing. So they have different approach to different markets. So for to do advertising on Philippines and Brazil, this is play and earn games. But for Japan and Europe, they advertise this is a very fun game to play, and they don't mention anything about earning. And people will discover they will earn along the way. And for the mechanism inside, because many people for now they want to focus on NFT and to eliminate the token, because many people think token is toxic because it will dumb sooner or later. But I think the chance and also the problem of blockchain games is that it gives too much freedom to the people. Yeah, you can easily exchange any asset, and giving too much money or freedom to some immature thing is not enough. It's not good because they cannot handle it. It's still very immature. So we are thinking of a way to make in-game token better by restrict the freedom. Because for NFT, they can trade freely, but then now people can involve new utility. For example, Sobao token. You cannot transfer Sobao token, so you can also impose some limitation on the token. Yeah, so we have many things to invent and innovate in the future.
Maybe I want to kind of pull Andy into this discussion, right? We had the first generation, you had tokens, you had NFTs. You're saying is that, hey, maybe should we scrap the token? Should we just have NFTs, or should we have other kinds of tokens with more limitations? What do you think?
Many of you probably know NLP is an in-game token when you play IC. So balancing a game is hard. Balancing an economy is even harder. So you need to have a short of minting, but you need to have a kind of like the demand for burning it to balance the economy. So we are experimenting a bunch of stuff, and I think the most important thing still be creating a fun experience for gamers, for users. So when they play, they have the demand to spend some money, and then they have the demand to burn some token as well. So that is there's still not a concrete answer, but we are doing a lot of experiment with that.
So I think we are kind of out of time. So I just want to maybe close it off with maybe each speaker saying one Web3 game they're really, really looking forward to next year, except Axie Infinity. Cannot pick your own game. Maybe who wants to start first? Anyone wants to go?
So we have recently partnered with invite DeFi Kingdom as our partner. So we are looking forward to have DeFi Kingdom on the Clayton chain. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I don't want to mention any specific game, but recently people talk too much about AAA games. But in Vietnam, we are super strong about hyper casual and casual games. So we think that's another way some Vietnam studio can make a connected world of casual games, and it's also be something good compared to AAA games.
Yeah, I think it would be unfair for me to pick a single game because I invested in 69 of them. So for us, we are bullish on the studios that we invested in. Super Gaming in India, Fun Plus in China, come to us in Korea. So we're looking forward to what they have.
So for me, I look forward for our builder program games that they emerge from the community, and let's see the creativeness of the communities.
All right. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate the awesome discussion here, and hope we can take it into the rest of the conference. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much to the experts who have shared a lot of useful perspective and information about Gamify and Metaverse to help the audience have a better perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, when we own any item, do you expect the item to be unique or irreplaceable? I myself too. And that's what NFT is. It's unique and irreplaceable. When we collect anything, I think that the first thought that comes to mind. The next topic we will discuss about NFT, the differences and similarities between collectibles versus utility versus tokenized assets. I would like to invite to the stage the following expert, Mr. Booger, Head of Integration at Zerion, the moderator. Mr. Kishore M., Founder and CEO of Crowdfund Junction. Adrian Lai, Founder and Managing Partner of Newman Capital. Eugene Bokov, Mascolony, and Bao Fan, Director Partnership at RCT.ai. Please welcome.
Hey guys, hey everybody. Actually, today is much more people than I expected to have on Saturday morning after all these parties. Like really cool that everybody is here. We will try to make it like fun and like please be with us. And we have only 30 minutes, so we will go only to the most important points here. And to kickstart, I want to just do like very quick temperature check with you guys to understand how deep we can go in terms of like the wording, technology, and so on, so on. Can like you raise your hand if you know what is the NFT stands for, like non-fungible tokens. Okay, guys, this is for you as well to understand how deep we can go. Okay, can you raise a hand if anybody has or had before at least one NFT in their wallets? Yeah, let's do it. And the last thing, who knows the difference between like collectibles, tokenized assets, and utility NFT? Okay, so then our panel should be like really useful for you guys, and let's get kickstarted. And also to warm up, we already got introduced, so we're not gonna go through this like the typical introduction. Tell please guys to us one thing which makes you like unique human, like for example, which we should know about you to understand your personality. I don't know, maybe you're like salsa dancer or something like that, so we can play with that. And the second question like right after, like share the learning you get after this like past bull run related to the NFT or like Web3 space. Like what was the most like memorable or like unique and useful thing for you? Yeah, let's go by the clockwise. Kishore.
Hi folks, morning. I'm Kishore. I'm here from Singapore. So just to quickly jump into his question directly, we are actually a community VC and we invest a lot in NFT projects, which is why I'm here. I love Vietnam, been to Hanoi and this is my first time in Ho Chi Minh. As far as my learnings in the market is basically, I would say this is the best market for all of us, whether it is fungible or non-fungible. There are a lot of good projects everywhere, both in the primary as well as secondary markets. And I guess if you are not sure of what to invest, where to invest, you can always do a DCA. That would be from my side.
Hi, my name is Adrian from Newman Capital. So something unique about myself, I'm a 25% Vietnamese. So probably you can see it from my
25% what?
Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Something I learned from the market, I'm a Bored Ape fan, so for NFT. So ever since I look into Bored Ape, the Ape DAO, and how animal craze involved, helped me to kind of learn how decentralization is important for the growth of NFTs. And also, I believe that NFT is here to stay, but in whatever forms, I'm not sure yet, whether it's going to be a PFP, whether it's going to be utility-driven or tokenized asset as we are discussing today. But that's something I'm going to learn through the journey, I guess.
Hey everyone, I'm Eugene, co-founder of Mars Colony. Well, something unique about myself is like not unique, but I'm a big sci-fi fan, and that's what kind of motivated me to build Mars Colony. I'm like, I tried to combine Stanislav Lem's Solaris, Neuromancer, and a couple of other books and build up Mars Colony, which essentially is the game we built. Learning stuff from 2022 for us, I guess, as project that was on Harmony Protocol is, I guess, don't put your eggs in one basket. You never know what happens tomorrow. So for everyone who doesn't know, Harmony Protocol unfortunately got hacked in June. So yeah, we had a portion of our treasury there, but good experience for us. And yeah, just passing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian from RCT.ai, and people know us like most prominently by the name of Delisium. So there's only one word that can describe me. It's as a gamer, and that is why I work for a game company and a tech company. So like the things that I learned from this year and also the last year is that the games need to go back to its core, which is entertainment. And also, and the second thing is that despite the bear market, like new investor, new fund, new VC comes into play, and I've seen a lot of like a new funds. I met not like a lot of people, and this is a very good time for real games, real projects to actually gain their attention, because not many of them like really FOMO anymore. So like they're really focusing on the build, and like it's easier for the investor to choose which kind of project that they want to invest, and also for the builder to actually like a benefit from that. They can show what they're really doing, and it's already like an interest the investor. So that is what I learned so far from this year.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Actually, we match with you in the learning. I wanted to say basically like if you like in the Web3 space and if you're investing, you should have a cold mind, and if you see that something goes up, it will go down for sure, and you should like manage your risk by yourself. As we saw, like many of people, they actually don't know about the differentiation. So we decided to do a kind of like debate between all of us. Like one of the member will try to defend one of the side of like type of NFTs, like somebody do tokenization, somebody do utility, and then we will try to explain in this debate why this is like unique or better. And in the end, nobody knows which type of NFT will take the market, but we will try to debate and basically guess in the end. To kick this start, let's basically define the type. What does it mean to be like utility? What does it mean to be collectible? And we already like make like share back into the group. So Kishore, you please define what does it mean NFT collectibles, like what if they have like special attributes, how they use, and so on.
Yeah, so collectibles has been around for a very long time. We've been collecting art pieces, physical art, stamps. But if you look at what blockchain has done or NFTs have done, is they have actually made it easy for us to authenticate. So how do I know that if, let's say, digital art, which is basically a JPEG file, and all of us have the same JPEG file in the past, how do I know mine is the original one? So I guess NFT collectibles has made it a little bit more easier for us to make sure the ownership is mine. I can authenticate it. Secondly is if you look at collectibles, the physical collectible was very difficult in the past. Let's say if I'm in Vietnam, I want to sell to somebody in Singapore. It's physical. It's very difficult, right? But I can NFT it, and I can sell that NFT, and let's say the guy in Singapore now owns the NFT, which means he's actually now owning the physical. So that kind of makes it very easy. Also, in terms of currency, becomes very easy. I can choose in what mode or form I want to make the payment. So I think collectibles has been around for a very long time. It's just that NFT collectibles has made it borderless, has is become more authenticate. You can authenticate it, and the best thing is the royalty, and that's where a lot of creators and I would say artists are now able to earn for whatever they have started to create.
So basically, collectibles is kind of like art, which very easy to trade, and which
art,
open
music, videos, anything. They all can be collectibles.
Okay, yeah, we're good with that. Brian, let's go the next one. You wanted to go with utility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with utility.
So like the words utility already like self-explanatory. So it's basically
but it's very wide. You can drop a couple of example. What's the best like, or like you can see
flight tickets, for example, like movie tickets, a membership pass to an exclusive member club, like Bored Air, for example. They have a lot of exclusive rights. So it's already like a lot of utility out there, but like over the past few years, like GameFi and DeFi and the whole financial like aspect, it's like it takes the spotlight already. But the NFT community are very strong, and it has one of the strongest utility of all. So like people can actually use it, and they may not think of its value too much when they own them because it is something that connected to them spiritually and mentally. Like we collect stamp or something. It's represent the habit, right? And when they like, if you play Pokemon, you want to have a Pokemon card. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh games, then you want to have the unlimited card, like you show it to your friends. So simple as that. So it is a good way that I learned from the collectible side also. But utility, it reflects its usage, like the real world value of it, and also it can be physical, like the tickets as I mentioned, but it also can be like a mentally as well. But utility, very simple. You can use it for any kind of physical and non-physical products or services.
Guys, if you don't mind, let's drop a couple more examples, like what, like, I don't know, brainstorm about this utility. Okay, we have tickets. We have like the entrance, let's say, like key and the tickets is basically the same. Like, do you have in mind like any other like spheres where we can like use NFT to make the life better?
Gym membership is an amazing example for NFTs. You know, I've traveled so many countries. I lose my membership because I can't use it anymore, but I can sell it. I can sell my gym membership if I choose to move to another country.
Okay. And if we come up with more, like just feel free to drop it. Eugene, yeah, can you define please the tokenized NFTs? And Adrian, I will have actually like, you can, while Eugene defining, you think please about the way like the border between these types of NFTs, because in the end it's the same technology, but like somehow like the collectibles can become utility. And so we will go deep with you after the Eugene. Yeah, please.
All right, cool. Yeah, so tokenized asset, like just like wrap up what we just discussed, right? We talked about collectibles, we talked about utility NFTs, and now we're talking about tokenized, essentially, assets. So what is tokenized asset? Basically, you can imagine some sort of like, there's a physical world where you have a house or let's say a stock, and you're creating tokenized representation of that. For example, you create a token that signifies that you own specific artwork in real life. That means like that you tokenize that asset. So what you guys just mentioned, collectibles could be tokenized asset too, if you own an artwork somewhere in a museum. Or let's say stock, like or deed of rights on some land could be also tokenized, like have a real land that you own. So that's essential tokenized asset. And I see tokenized asset myself as one of the like greatest application of NFTs, because essentially that's what connects real world with us, with the Web3 world, and that's what enables a lot of things. That's cool things going to be happening in the future. For example, enabling fractional investment in stocks through NFTs, fraction investment in properties through NFTs as well. Like that was, and it enables a lot of things. So in terms of examples, I can give a couple more, but maybe you guys, Adrian, you want to share a few things?
Well, I think long story short, two things here. The first one, tokenized asset. I personally am not a fan of tokenized financial asset. So in terms of real estate, in terms of art collections, but I believe in any kind of tokenized asset, whether basically is other type of NFTs are tokenized asset. Reason being, I don't believe in tokenized financial asset because, you know, in general, I don't think tokenized real estate or tokenized art collections are meant for retail. It's not because of the regulation. It's because of the investment appetite demand. I worked for 3-4 years on a company called Liquify, which we are the leader in tokenized asset, $200 million valuation. But it just can't work in the form of whether it's STO or tokenized asset. The second point, tokenized NFT. The second point is I feel like there's a convergence between utility tokens and, wait, what's the first one? Collectibles, collectibles. So I feel like there is going to be two routes towards the convergence. The first route is whether you want to have a collectibles in terms of digital format, a BAYC, leading to utilities. So you spend the Bored Ape in the metaverse, which is other side, to enjoy utility. The second route is whether you could have a physical item, a collectible. Physical collectible, you scan a QR code and link back to the digital world. So I personally am debating which one leads to mass adoption. The first one, BAYC, is a new IP. People go FOMO for it. But then IP needs years to build. I don't believe that a utility on an offline world, whether it's a membership, whether it's a metaverse in the other side, could be created with BAYC because it's too new. But if Adidas create, a T-shirt with QR code scanned back in the metaverse, I believe that will happen because Adidas has built up the IP for 34 years. So that's sort of my high-level background, and feel free to discuss.
Yeah, so it looks like you highlighted more into that you go to debate for the utility use case. And let's do one more round, and let's actually try to defend I know that we kind of shared before, but feel free to defend the site you believe the most. You feel like it's going to be the most prominent use case. And I'm going to kickstart it because I'm really into the tokenization of the land. So I believe that there will be sooner or later, there will be kind of Google Map type of marketplace when you will be able to take any kind of piece of land on the earth and put it on the marketplace. If you're an owner, you will be able to sell it, and it will automatically pop up on some trending or whatever. And if this system will be created, it will be completely transparent, the planetary scale market of the land. And I'm really bullish on this. And I even pitching this kind of idea to the Ukrainian Ministry of Digital Transformation, because this idea is impossible to implement in any countries in the world except in Ukraine after the war, because they will put a lot of innovation into this. And I will be promoting this idea. So I'm definitely into tokenization and this kind of ownership. It will be basically your apartment, your land, your car, everything in your phone. So yeah, guys, are you bullish in terms of technology?
Yeah, I totally second his opinion. I'm sorry, but I disagree to some extent on the financial assets. In fact, NFT for financial assets is going to be a big thing. It's already happening on the property side. So think about it, guys, right? I own properties, but property is actually the most illiquid. If I want to sell it, I have to find a buyer. And what if I don't want the entire value of the property? So I live in Singapore, properties in Singapore are at least $1 million and above. I need that $1 million. I have to find a buyer who's willing to pay me $1 million. Now, what if I just want a small amount of portion of my equity? I want to unlock my equity. So I just want, let's say, 100,000. What if I can NFT it and sell 10 NFTs? And somebody who wants to invest in properties but don't have 1 million, but are willing to invest 100,000 or let's say even 10,000. So I make 100 NFTs of 10,000 each, and all of them can own it. And if the price doubles from 1 million to 2 million, they all double their value. And by the way, this is already happening as I speak. So I can share the website with you. And I feel NFT in property is a big thing because it's very illiquid. And the owner doesn't have the challenges of going to the bank, showing his proof of income, waiting for the bank to give the approval. With NFT, it's like immediately I can unlock my equity. So this is what I feel is going to be the future.
Yeah, right. Adrian, let's go.
Well, to clarify, I actually agree with accessibility to illiquid assets. So whether it's real estate, whether it's other kind of private company asset, I don't believe in NFTs being the medium to enable tokenization. Because if you work on tokenization, actually my previous company worked on the first case, Mayfair Hotel, $1.7 billion tokenization. And we work with multiple, we were the type, we work with brokers. We released report BNP Paribas Investment Bank on just tokenization of real estate, and Colliers, we have a consortium with KPMG. And we understand throughout the tokenization structure is not about the tech, it's about the SPV underlying. And it is not something technologies can change. It is actually, if a narrative about whether it's cheaper or not, is actually more expensive to do tokenization than going for a startup like Property in US, you can buy fractionalized real estate. So I don't believe that NFT is the medium or the channel to work on tokenization. It's just a buzzword for tokenization in terms of financial asset. But in terms of fractionalized real estate, I believe could be a future, but you never can get an economic ownership, legal ownership. You could have the economic interest, but not the legal ownership. And that sort of regulation being ambiguous, across jurisdictions will not be solved in several years. But Hong Kong have actually pioneered some sort of STO or whatever we call it, NFTs and not as securities. Well, I believe it will come, but not in the form of NFT though.
Yeah, just add on this a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I understand the legal side could be more complicated, but the whole idea is that imagine just idealistic side. Imagine you can be a Vietnamese person, play game, and actually own stocks like fractionally for NFTs. And in this case, NFT is just a medium, right? It's just a way for you to get it. For example, you have a space game. You can have a SpaceX stocks actually fractionally owned as like your sort of incentive for the users. So that's something that I see is an amazing thing and enable essentially allow people to actually own assets, right? But on another tangent, there's other things that I really believe in the future that potentially going to come is a connection of NFT to real world assets. So like we didn't talk a little bit about, we talked a little bit about metaverse in previous sessions. So owning physical, for example, shoes and then connecting that with a virtual, let's say, asset as like your shoes in a metaverse, that potential that something can work out. For example, I see in the future as you're going to the store, buying the shoes, and then you can have a QR code NFT that you have their actual virtual shoes in the metaverse. That's something I think that can connect virtual physical world and provide this utility NFTs, and essentially we're gonna be buying all this like, you know, licenses and stuff. But maybe the Elysium guys, you have some ideas on this as well.
Yeah, so like we have a very realistic approach. Like as futuristic as what our project and our company may look like, we take a very realistic the approach onto like what we're producing and also our perspective toward NFT. So yeah, legal side it's really it's not impossible, but it's challenging. Like owning a land even in Vietnam, you have to do a lot of paperwork, and also you have to go to the notary or you have to go to the law side in order to get the ownership transfer. So it's really challenging, not in Vietnam, but in other countries as well. So it involved with like a government, it involved with a lot of politics and kind of stuff. So owning like a high value physical asset through transferring NFT is impossible right now. Like it's hard. Like you own a car, like you buy off a car NFT from a guy, and you're actually not gonna, you realize like you're not gonna own it when like a police stop you, and what's your license? So that is gonna be take a long time to do so. But for others like lower like value, like shoes, shirt, flight tickets, like anything that can digitalize transfer, that is the most obvious use case. I really hope in the future we can do that to like a bigger value access. But like for now, let's keep it simple. Like we're trying to do mass adoption. So let's start with something like simpler and very like easy for people to adopt. So I think that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. So the legal is bottleneck for sure. Like I mean, if it's not going to be like legalized and controlled by government, there will be a lot of fraud, and you don't want to lose your car or apartment because somebody like hit you like on the street or something like that. That's for sure understandable. But on another side, it will make sense, like you mentioned in Vietnam about like buying apartment. Like I was checking the process. Basically, if you want to buy apartment now, you go to the marketplace, the owner publish, then another site looking for, then you get in touch, then you have negotiation, then you take a look, then you make agreement, then the owner should do like proof that he's owner and there is no debts on this. Then when he get this proof, like you make a signing agreement, then you make the transaction, and only then you get your apartment. So all these things, if you find the owner and you agreed, you can basically click the button and the government will prove that you both like adequate and everything is fine. We kind of like running away out of the time. To show up, this is like cool technology. I mean, I believe like we all like bullish in this, but to show how far it's like from the reality, like could you guys like highlight like very briefly what kind of NFTs like do you have in your portfolio? Like is it like utility? Is it tokenized? Like is it collectibles? For me, I have NFT tickets and I have like couple of like dynamic NFTs just having for fun. Yeah, Eugene, please.
I just own our like our NFTs, and actually the NFTs of value is my social connection. So what I started liking and using heavily is Lens protocol, and every NFT is essentially your NFTs connections of the people I follow and people that follow me, and I have a bunch of them. So that's something I started collecting. It does have value too. People were actually offering me, like someone wanted to buy my profile, so that's essentially the utilities basically, like into words, like.
Oh. I have some Bored Ape, other side deeds, Invisible Friends, Azukis, all the degen stuff, and I have some ENS. But to point out to what you mentioned, a quick one, I think tokenization, you have two advantages: operational excellence and fractionalization is two different things. Operational excellence refers to the contract being on chains and everything transaction on chain. It doesn't lead to fractionalization and investment.
Yeah. So I believe that NFTs is going to be a big hit as far as metaverse is concerned. As far as my collections, I'm more on the collectible side, and I own a few DGods, Gary V's, and Pudgy Penguins, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's simple. It's just guns and like gaming stuff that I play. So simple as that. So that's my portfolio.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're like out of time, and thank you everybody who listened. If you have any questions about NFT, you can catch any of us like all around. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, all the experts. Right now, we are going to have a 15-minute break. There is a workshop in the Hanoi room, and there also tea break in the outdoor area. So please enjoy and be back here in 15 minutes. Thank you. 15. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to the hall room as we are now returning to the program. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to the hall room as we are moving forward to the next part. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to the hall room as we are moving forward to the next part.
闭着眼睛，拿起你的双手，我能安全上你的伤口。快来自山，他们还不该走。看眼神，你是全是混子。我写形容下，从来不会困死。我要买火小手，妈妈开了奔驰，对圈里人都屌，一个都不认识，都不认识。我歌里写的歌词全部都是真实，在你心目中的女生全部我都认识，都加过微信，还说你刚来。
Ladies and gentlemen, please return to the whole room as we are moving forward to the next part. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to the whole room as we are moving forward to the next part in 3 minutes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to the whole room. We are now moving to the next part. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, having built up such a DAO, the members of the DAO are not bound by any formal contract. They are bound together by a common goal, and incentives are tied to the consensus rules. The rules governing these organizations are completely transparent and written in the network's open source software. However, since the DAO operates without borders, there can be legal issues depending on the country. So our experts will sit down to clarify how people can manage their own resources to make impactful decisions. Without making you wait any longer, we respectfully invite the following experts. Arun Devabhaktuni, lead research at Murana. Chess, founder at Quest 3. Hum Qingzhe, head of product at Tribe, as the moderator, and Rexy Fade, ecosystem builder at Genosis. Ravi Shankar, co-founder and COO at Riva Metaverse. Please welcome.
I'll stand. Please have a seat. I'll just stand then. Thanks everyone for your patience. So today's panel is going to be about decentralized governance from the context of DAOs. Thank you for a very kind introduction to DAOs, and I hear a lot of misconceptions already in the introduction to DAOs, which is an excellent launching point for this entire panel discussion. So to start off, may I get our speakers to introduce yourselves, starting from Rexy. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, guys. This is an audience. So you guys can call me Rexy. I'm from Gnosis, the overall broader Gnosis organization. I'm actually more focused on Gnosis builders. So Gnosis is pretty much run with a subset of DAOs. You know, there's a bunch of products that we've rolled out, like Gnosis Safe, CalSwap. Those different products are, operated within DAOs, including the broader Gnosis DAO. So yeah, we have a booth back there. If you guys want to chat more about us, feel free to jump in. And yeah.
Thanks. Next, Ravi.
Thanks a lot. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ravi, and I am the co-founder of Riva Metaverse. Riva Metaverse is a decentralized travel organization, and we are trying to create the travel metaverse where you will be able to book your tickets, hotels in the metaverse environment. So that you have a better immersive experience and you are able to take a better decision in terms of hotel booking or flight booking or any of the experiences that you like to have at your destination. And we have been based out of the Middle East, India, West Africa, and Europe. And this Riva Metaverse is backed by the parent company called Riva Group, which is already in the travel business for last 2 decades. So we are already a profit-making company, and we have just ventured into Metaverse 10 weeks ago. And so far, we have got very good response from the people. And we will be going live with our first phase where we'll be integrating all the airlines, hotels, experiences. That will be by middle of December. So thanks a lot, guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bree. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a Stealth project. It's a lending protocol that we are planning to launch on Polygon, a marketplace for projects to actually use future collateral to do lending for capital loans and microfinancing. So we are hoping to launch it somewhere in Q1 next year. Good to build in the bear market. So hoping to have more updates in time. So it's in stealth mode, so I can't say much about it. Sorry.
Thanks, Bree. Arun?
Everyone, my name is Arun. I'm lead researcher at Miranda. We work pretty closely with BitDAO, which is one of the largest DAOs in this space. It's been a kind of unique challenge. We manage about $2.6 billion in assets, and that's been increasing every month. We've got several sub-DAOs and initiatives in gaming, zero knowledge, education, and yeah, it's been quite challenging to figure out how to actually coordinate governance of all these different things and make sure that everything's very efficient and productive, and looking forward to kind of digging more into that today.
Chess.
Hello, I'm Chess, the Chess, and I'm from Quest3, and Quest3 is a marketing tools for all the Web3 projects to grow, to acquire users. So like if you are a GameFi, NFT, or DeFi or something projects, you won't have more users, you can use us, and it's totally free and permissionless and easy to use. And now we have like 30,000 daily active users per day. So yeah, we have got a lot of traffic. Yeah, thank you.
So since you have the mic, maybe we can start with you. So just very quickly, right? I think DAOs has been some of a buzzword for 2022. Since you sort of run a platform to help get users, right? May I ask, like, how have DAOs interacted with like freelancers across the space? And do you find some complexities in managing this compared to like traditional organizations?
Yeah, there are many clients. Actually, they are DAOs. They're running some NFT projects, DeFi projects as a DAO type. And but to be honest, I think now most of the DAOs are still cannot fix more complicated issues or problems because the whole concept of DAOs are still young, and we still need more time to build the whole DAO system to follow how to manage, how to incentive DAO members, how to blah blah many things compared to the Web2 company, the concept from company. So I think it's pretty long way to go, and I'm very like the Peter Drucker, and he's I think one of the modern management concept founder, and he has a book in 1914 after he researched all the Ford Motor Company and read a book that named this concept of the corporation. And I think that the Ford the vehicle company is more like a DAO in that time. And he gave all the workers 8 hours to work and $5 per day, twice at that time out of the factory, and the modern ways, and they use assembly line to manage the product efficiency. So I think it's very have a high level for the management. It seems like DAO. So I think there's many ways we can learn from the Web2 company and how to incentive the members, incentive the employees, how to manage the whole team. Like in many DAOs now, they have like at least 1,000 community members. How you get them all, they can be get fired and get incentive and join your DAO and constantly contribute to your DAOs. It's a very difficult problem. But to be honest, most of the DAO members or the founders, they don't have the experience how to manage and how to incentive so many people. So it's still a long way to go. And then I think it's efficiency is first, because if we look back to the history, all the time, the Web 1, Web 0, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, all the concept, the basic technology shift is how is this technology or is this organization have the network effect? If it is, and it can grow rapidly, and it can be a paradigm shift. So that's the key, I think. So by now we still have a long way to go, and we need to figure out how to improve the whole process and how to make the things in the right way, and onboarding more and more people into DAOs. Yeah, because compared to the whole world population, the DAO, the Web3 is still very small concept and a small country. Yeah, if you are a small country like the Madagascar or something island, you cannot do anything. You can only do some traveling or blah some things. Yeah.
Okay, so I think you touched on a lot of points. Thank you for that. I'd like to jump to Arun here. I think it's a very good time to hop over into incentives, which I think Chess mentioned quite a few times. So just very quickly, right? Do you think DAOs require a token, which has been quite a common form of incentivization? And if not, maybe what are some ideas that you've come across, especially across the BitDAO ecosystem, maybe?
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. I think in some ways the token-based governance is aligned because a person has a percentage ownership of the DAO, and that gives them access to some percentage of the upside, and therefore they get a proportional level of influence over the DAO. But the question is also, does a person owning a certain amount of, let's say, bit really entitle them to make decisions on behalf of a DAO? Are they a subject matter expert? Things like that. So I think we definitely need like a more nuanced take on it. I think that these existing governance models where it's like one vote per token are fairly primitive, and we're probably going to start seeing in the future these models kind of shift towards some level of ownership and also some level of reputation within the DAO. These delegation systems are also interesting, but at the same time, they're actually quite vulnerable to civil attacks and just people being very good politicians, which is not necessarily someone who's like a good DAO, a good person to run a DAO or to run a personal initiative. And yeah, it's quite challenging. I mean, I think that we would like these systems to be kind of incorruptible and stable and things like that. But I mean, governance in general is quite difficult. There hasn't really been any kind of like government that's probably stayed stable for more than 200 years. I mean, it'd be great if any DAO stayed for more than 200 years. That would be a success scenario at this point. But you know, it's like this is a really hard problem, and yeah, see what happens. Yeah.
So we can touch a bit on, like, say, DAO governance, right? I think when you're structuring a new project, for example, what goes through your mind when designing organizations?
Okay, so a bit of context for this. I think when I started with my current project, the inspiration came before like this concept of DAOs were in place. So I'm a very Web 2 person. So when I think about governance, it relates a lot to who are the stakeholders that you're looking to engage, right? So how you structure your tokenomics, the weightage of the tokenomics, and what kind of powers that voting gives you, I think comes into a lot of that play. For our particular context, because we work with the environment and climate, the kind of stakeholders we have are more like very Web 1, Web 2 people. So like ESG consultants, environmental scientists, data scientists, and so on. I think when we structured that, we thought about that in mind. Who do we want and who do we trust to be the ones to vote in the right direction for that project? We also considered very traditional Web 2, and I think that's what you said, what Chess said, is that you can learn a lot from Web 2 because we've already tried and tested a lot of governance. You look at corporations, how they're governed, with or without tokens, doesn't matter. You would traditionally have like a public DAO, or you give your public the impression that they are a DAO, but there are a lot of places still a super council, so to speak, where you can actually overrule. And these are true tokens that the founders hold. And in our particular context, we do hold up to 50% of the tokens, or that's the intention. So 50% we will allow voting, we will take it into consideration. But overall, because let's say if you're doing a public IDO and your project needs to have a certain direction, do you trust the public token holders to understand, for example, what in our context is going to be a good climate project or a good environmental project? And I think to very quickly touch back on what you said as well, to your point about how do you then have that governance and how do you engage them? I think a lot of it is through education. So when you structure your DAOs and stuff, you need to think about how much education you need to give the individual members of that DAO, I think. So these are my points.
So that's pretty helpful, actually. And yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. If you're starting a project like many people in here do, and you're creating a DAO, I think one of the first things your advisors will tell you is to limit the number of knobs the DAO could turn, which is somewhat ironic. If this system was actually making efficient decisions, you would probably want to give it more power. But in fact, people are actually looking to limit the power because it's probably not very effective.
Well, I think that works differently for different things. I think there is no perfect model, right? That's the question. Like a lot of this is trial and error. So I think one of the interesting things that probably will come out in conversations when you structure how your DAO works is you have to leave open the option to change the tokenomics, to change how the DAO eventually evolves and works. I think that's probably, to your point, that's the only thing I can offer. So
I'm quite curious here also, because I think, Ravi, you mentioned that your organization's in the midst of a sort of decentralization drive, right? So I'm quite curious from like a Web 2 organization's perspective, right? What elements of Web 2 have you included? And like, why is this valuable from like, say, a tourism perspective?
See, decentralization is always helpful in terms of finding the new transparent pricing. I mean, I'm from the travel industry, and where we know that the pricing and the way things are done is very, very centralized. And we never know where the pricing is going for the flights or the hotels. And only we have very few selected service providers. And we really don't know that what is the exact and transparent pricing. So that's, we have tried to do analysis. And when we started this Riva Metaverse, it is the decentralized travel organization that we are creating, where we are creating the decentralized. So anybody who has got the stocks or who is aggregator or from the airline also, they will be able to put their stock in our portal. So the people who are using it, they will be able to find a new transparent pricing. And not only that, what is happening now that you have seen that most of the reviews, most of the blogs, sometimes they are all very paid, or they are put in a certain way that the customers are influenced into buying that ticket or buying that property for a day or two. But what happens that if the reviews and these blogs and this thing is free and transparent, and people are paid for writing the reviews, then you will be able to get the most accurate kind of reviews and all. So this is the kind of decentralization we are trying to bring in the travel industry, so that the people get benefited. They get the most transparent pricing. They get the most transparent review of the flights, of the hotels worldwide, or of the experiences. So this is a new thing that we are taking, and already there are a lot of organizations who are thinking about it. But probably we are the first one who are really actually got into it, and we are going live by December.
That's pretty exciting. I'm quite curious also. So actually, this is for Rexy. Throughout the entire panel, I've been talking about DAOs, but we haven't really spoken about how DAOs operate. And Gnosis and Gnosis Chain, a suite of tools, mentioned a lot about it. I'm quite curious, like, to you, right, based on how users have been interacting with some of Gnosis products, which are actually quite a common DAO tool. What are some challenges that you have noticed, and does this lead to like more complexity or better outcomes?
Yeah, I think we need to touch on some of the basic understandings first to try to understand, the overall concept, right? So DAOs, I would say, are simply a group or a squad with ideas, right? But I think nowadays, I mean, there's big changes in how DAOs were structured, a couple of years ago, and now I think nowadays a lot of it is focused on a specific theme, whereas back then, there's more infrastructure-related DAOs. We had MakerDAO. There's obviously Gnosis DAO as well, and nowadays you see DAOs like Constitution DAO, where it's just mainly focused on, let's say, purchasing art, right? And I think one of the major challenges, not just on our side, but externally as well, is how do we find the right level of decentralization balance, right? I think obviously DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, but in some cases we don't really, try to emphasize on increasing that level of decentralization. I think, we start realizing how important it is until it's too late, as we've seen in, obviously recent events. So yeah, I don't know if you guys heard of the term Nakamoto coefficient. It's basically the number of entities that it would take a network to be taken down, And so it's on our side, we try to look at the level of entities that it would take to just take down a whole network. Right now, Gnosis has over 108,000 validators. So that's one point. And the second point, back into to the tooling side. So one of our teams within Gnosis DAO called Gnosis Guild, they've built out a really awesome operating standard to creating DAOs, and it's called Zodiac. So Zodiac is a very straightforward tool that you guys can use to create your DAOs. It's in this Gnosis Safe app if you've used Safe. So within Safe, you guys can take a look. You guys can search for Zodiac, and there's all these different features that enable you to provide power and resource management within your own DAOs. So I think, like, in terms of challenges, I think we've had quite a few feature changes with how we can set the scopes of account management. Like, for example, there's this one module in Zodiac called, I think it was called the scope feature. And technically, it allows the community to decide whether or not the DAO itself would require the Gnosis Safe signers to have veto within the DAO, for example. Because in a Gnosis Safe, you would need 4 out of 6 multi-sig signers, right? So you don't want that whole community of that initiative to be decided by just 4 out of those 6. So you get to decide, the community of that DAO gets to decide whether or not the signers would be an important aspect to that. So there's all these different features, and I think one of the major challenges right now is really deciding how do we get the best for the community itself. And so we've been tweaking a lot of the features within the toolings that we have. Yeah.
So I think you've given quite a lot of touch on, especially when it comes to tooling. Should I talk a bit with Arun from BitDAO? So a lot of tooling that DAOs use, right, are not necessarily very decentralized, and I forgot what it was called, but there was this idea that sort of like the tools that you use kind of dictate your processes. So how do you think, or maybe based on your experiences so far, especially when it comes to setting up and running DAOs, what is an idealized process that you think can balance that trade-off between like decentralization and like good decision-making? And he gets all the hard questions, yeah.
Yeah, that is a doozy of a question. Okay, let me think. Yeah, I think DAO tooling is definitely, like you said, is very much in its infancy. So at BitDAO, we use Utopia Labs for payments, and just kind of riffing off of that, I think that one thing we've seen from YFI and all this stuff is that it doesn't really make sense for everyone to know what everyone else is being paid. I think this tends to destabilize a DAO more than anything else, and tends to make people angry because the DAO token price is going down. Suddenly, everyone's like, "Let's cut the salary for everyone in the DAO," which is generally. I mean, maybe it's warranted in some cases, but oftentimes it could just lead to negative feedback loop where people are being paid less incentivized to like actually work on it, and this is not great. But so I think that actually zero knowledge is going to be really pivotal here in the sense that you can prove certain things about the way the funds are moving in an audible way, kind of similar to like the proof of reserves being coming online with exchanges, without necessarily revealing where all the money is all the time. And that's, I think, going to be like a more advanced version of what we have right now. And in general, I think that ZK is going to be great for coordination across all levels of the stack. For instance, one other example is private voting. Right now, everyone's votes are public in a DAO. Your votes are tied to your world identity. It's not great because sometimes there's something that's like very popular that you may just think is a bad idea, but if you vote against it, you may be committing political suicide. It's not a great situation to be in. If your votes were private, then you have more freedom to like vote more rationally versus kind of voting with the crowd. And if we've seen many DAO votes, at this point, it's just there's like some whale logs the team, they vote a certain way, and then everyone just bandwagons off it, and that's just the end of it. It's hardly governance. Let's see, on other areas of the stack, I think reputation is going to be really important. Like I said, we need a way to kind of like measure someone's reputation and skills along particular verticals and kind of weight their decisions along those verticals more highly. And we're doing a lot in Game 7, which was one of the sub-DAOs of BitDAO, in terms of gamification and trying to build that. That's, I think, everything on the top of my head. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to drive a bit more from Chess's perspective. So I think you mentioned a bit about like onboarding more people to DAOs, right? And hence that trade-off, right? With like you require these different systems that allow people to be onboarded meaningfully. So since like it's pretty nascent, how are people doing it these days, and what is the best way you've seen so far that might set precedents for some of future tooling that we eventually create?
Yeah, I think that is many interesting DAOs. They are a very small group, and we have been talked to like at least 20 DAOs in the past 1 or 2 months, and they have something common problems. Like one is many native startup founders or core teams. They actually don't know how to grow users in Web2 in Web3. And they don't know like what's the retention, what's AARRA or something, the many indicators, and they don't know how to set the landing page for the new users and how to attract the users and to know their product and to believe or trust their product. And this is the first. And the second is sometimes they don't know what's the priority for a startup, because I think in Web3 or in crypto, in our industry, we are many people we'd like to create new concepts. But to be honest, for the fundamentally to see, I think DAOs is the same question. What problems are you want to solve? Use your product or use your community, and how? And then use what kind of resources or money or communities or many other things. So it's all the basic issues like can you create a product or can you create a vibe to attract users and like you or like the core teams, and then constantly to growth. So this is the second problem. And the third, as I think, is many teams, they don't have the best UI or UI designer or even product manager. The same like the many, I know there are the guilds, the game guilds in Vietnam or Philippines. So they are lack of this marketing tools or toolkit in the whole industry. So that's why we want to build this one, the first. And also I know like us, we keep the money on safe, and it's very convenient, because in Web3, if you want to be a leader or founder, it's so hard. You need to avoid Luna, FTX, many other things, and the different country regulations. So that's a DAO, I think the best advantage of DAOs, and also keep some easy way to serve out the different your people in different countries, different time zones. So, but I think it's still many new features need to need to be solved not only by our product. Like many DAOs use Notion, we use Notion too. I think there's a big chance to build something Notion with a DAOs chatting tools or something inside in one product, like Lark. I think you both know Lark. And also there's many tools. How can we manage different people in different time zone, like a Web3 Calendly or something? So it's a very big market for all the DAO tools market. It's like the Web2 SaaS market. I think for our product Quest3, we call us a growth as a service. I think there's many like manage as a service, something paid like Superfloyd. They use for the payment for the DAOs, but they are not do so better. I think it's still many chance. So to be honest, for the summary, I think there's a huge potential for the product side to build for the DAOs, for the new users into Web2, into Web3. And the product must go first, and the community must go first. And like Notion, I really like Notion. They change the product lead growth to community lead growth. That's why they win. They don't need to KOL to say that, oh, Notion are good, right? They don't need the big investor to say, oh, the product is good, you need to use them. They don't need. They just use the product, use their code, use their community to say they are awesome, they are good. So I think this is a permissionless, the inside of permissionless. Web3, we need to break through all the threshold used to be in the Web2. And all the permissions. There's no threshold, easy to use and easy to go. You don't need to trust anyone. You only trust the word, trust the code, trust the smart contract, and trust the community. Yeah.
So I'd like to take some time to also take note if there are questions from the audience also, because you have covered quite a fair bit regarding reputation systems, tooling, why bother decentralizing in the first place, and in a sense, social consensus also. So are there any questions from the audience that would like to ask anybody on the panel? Just very briefly, because we have about maybe 5 minutes left. It's a bit bright, so I can't really see if anyone's raising a hand or... No, okay, so that's fine. So for the last 5 minutes, right, I think I'd like to dive a little deeper into maybe some challenges about DAOs. Generally, I'm quite glad the panel has been somewhat frank, right? There's a lot to be desired when it comes to DAOs. And like, might be a bit challenging. I'd like to hop all the way to Rexy. So prior to, I suppose, this Cambrian explosion of DAOs in 2022, right? There have been a lot of DAO tooling startups that have come and gone, like Aragon or Colony. And in the end, it seems that it's really the simplest tools that win out. So looking forward, right? How do you think, or what do you think the social consensus might be around DAOs itself as a tool, considering that there has been quite a lot of controversy with DAOs? If you look at Snapshot regarding like voter participation, right, reputation systems, payments.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger concerns right now with DAOs is that a lot of people view it as a very inefficient organization. Like there's a lot of tax on inefficiency because people would think that when you delegate the decisions that happen in a DAO, you're delegating to a broad community, and that takes a lot of time, right? But I think that can really be mitigated internally within that organization because it would really depend on how autonomous that DAO is and how diverse the governance process is. I think this was actually touched on a bit by Vitalik on one of his articles around DAOs. I can't really recall the name. So the level of autonomy in a DAO, if I could go into practical details, like for instance, within a DAO, you have a very core team, like in our case in SAFE, you have the multi-sig signers, right? And then under those core team, you would have different functions, or people would call it pods. And so I think it's super important that all these different functions are enabled to run completely independently. There's not much, interference from the core side, because that would then help with the efficiency of the DAO. I think that's really one of the bigger challenges that I think we're seeing right now with DAOs, and why people are not diving a lot deeper into the approach of DAOs. Yeah.
So just very quickly, Ravi, from your perspective, how do you balance these trade-offs between, like you mentioned, right, decision making, and I think tourism is a pretty fast growing industry now that COVID is returning. Oh, sorry, travel is returning. I don't want to jinx it. No, not now. Thank you.
See, basically, people sometimes take a decision when they don't have the complete information. So, main thing is that the clubs or the set of people who's interested in client, and it is a homogeneous set of people, then the decision making in the autonomous form becomes much easier. When the people are of the diverse background, they have a very different way of thinking, and then there is a social media, there are things who can influence your decision. Then what you are taking decision could be not correct or may not be correct in the particular situation. So it's a whole lot of human psychology that get into that this autonomous organization can be successful or not successful, depending upon what kind of influence the outside environment can put on the person taking the decisions, which is very important. So for it to be successful, it has to be a homogeneous kind of set of people, and taking a decision which may not be very complex, much more easier, and like a zero-sum game, yes or no, then it is much more easier. Otherwise, the influence by the media, influence of the people, the conditioning of the people will take a toll on the right decision. So that's what my take.
So more focus on, say, the autonomous side than decentralization, at least maybe for the initial parts and eventually decentralized.
Correct.
Okay, that's pretty good. So actually we are out of time. So maybe I'll just wrap up the panel before we head off. So thanks everyone. I think we kind of danced around the concept of governance and focused a bit more on tooling this time. Because I think we are quite frank about the state of DAOs, and I'm very thankful that everybody has been quite honest on the panel. And I hope it has been a fruitful experience for you to hear from people on the ground, working on DAOs, working in DAOs. And I hope you enjoy the rest of ETHVietnam. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much to our experts for the discussion. And please give the experts a round of applause. Okay, next, let's join us in another tech-focused sessions on cross-chain Web3, the future of dApp. Ladies and gentlemen, Web3 is rapidly growing into a multi-chain ecosystem. Cross-chain Web3 is not the future anymore. It's a reality that will have an impact on every business in the crypto industry. Actually, cross-chain dApps are quickly becoming the norm in blockchain development. And in the next few years, however, why is this? What will a dApp of the future look like? To continue the conference program, you are invited to the stage. Samrat Kishore, Regional Representative of Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, Baseline Protocol. Nilkan Ia, Head of Asia Pacific, Unstoppable Domains. Dr. Pratik Gori, Founder and CEO of FireOrg.org. Arthur Tan, Chief Executive Officer at MetaPack as the moderator. And finally, Phan Kim Don, Web3 Business Development Manager at AWS, with the presentation of Cross-Chain Web3, the future of dApp. Please welcome.
Right, since it's going to be the last one in this session, I guess we always say save the best for last, right? And I love the 11:30 a.m. session because this is the only time that just right before lunch, everyone is it's just ready for lunch and keeping up is at the best energy. So I think this is a very interesting session because I think all of us is in the Web3 community that it has always been dabbling around. And I guess it's today, allow me to take you a journey of having all these future hats amongst these speakers over here and to crystallize this crystal ball, whether of the cross-chain of Web3, the future of dApp. So allow me to first introduce Xin Chao and Chao Bun Chang. How's everyone doing? Come on, guys. I believe Saigon deserve a better energy. Come on, guys. Good morning, Saigon. How's everyone doing? All right, yeah. So I'll be moderating the session. My name is Arthur Tan, originally from Malaysia. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of MetaPack Group. And indeed, today we're talking about the cross-chain of Web3, the futures of DApp. And that's just to ensure that everyone in this room understands the context of cross-chain. Imagine every day that you'll be sending out your emails, your daily emails, from a different email server to another email server. So for instance, if you are holding a Gmail account and you're unable to send out to Yahoo, imagine the struggles and the challenges that you're going to face. Now, cross-chain is a technology that enhances the interconnection between all the blockchain network that allows the exchange of data, information, and value. Now, dApps, of course, as the name suggests, decentralized. It's very similar like how your apps are on your phone. But of course, the only difference is it uses a blockchain and also smart contracts on the front end code. And also the back end code using a decentralized peer-to-peer network. So it's as simple as that everyone in this room understands the context of dApps and cross-chain. So let's just dive in even deeper to really go deeper understanding this topic about it. So I guess first and foremost, I think I have this incredible, intelligent panelists right with me. And we'll see. I hope there won't be an intense debate. So we're all friends over here. So let's just get the ball rolling then. So with me is right on the, as you can see, that's a big screen. With me is Samrat Kishore, Neil, and also Pumpkin Dawn as well. So just very quick one, could you just guys just quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Don Fan. I'm the Business Development Manager for Amazon Web Services. Web3 is becoming the fastest growing part of our business, and we're increasingly powering Web3. When we're talking about cross-chain startups, this is something that we're seeing a lot of. And we'll get into a deeper discussion about multi-chain versus cross-chain. And I think this is kind of the cutting edge of where we are at Web3.
Hey guys, thank you very much for the thunderous opening to the session. I'm Samrat Kishore. I'm the regional head for Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. It's an alliance which is run by Consensus, Joe Lubin, etc. So it's for the enterprise adoption of Ethereum. And there's also a community project which is called Baseline Protocol, and I'm currently the co-chair of Technical Steering Committee there. There are various other community projects also which the EEA supports, and I would be happy to chat with everyone while we are here. Thanks.
Thanks, Samrat. My name is Neelkant. I lead the Asia Pacific operations for Unstoppable. My area of expertise is digital identity. So hopefully I can add some value today.
So just to make sure that we are all on the same page. So to really just get it starting. So do you all agree that the cross-chain is the future of DApp? If so, why? If you disagree, why?
Well, since I have the mic, I'm going to get started by saying that it's definitely the present. We're seeing a lot of adoption, and a lot of apps really took off because of cross-chain interoperability. That was something which was naturally, causing the uptake of those apps. So I think that was really key in a lot of traction which came, early traction, and eventually venture money as well for a lot of apps which we are seeing currently. Future, I would say, it comes with a caveat. It comes, we have to take it with a pinch of salt. It has to be secure, and Vitalik also in the past has said points against it, and I'm sure all of us will agree to that. That while multi-chain seems to be the right way to go, cross-chain is something which always has its own challenges. So in fact, EEA also came up with a security standard for cross-chain transactions, because that your assets are very vulnerable while they are being exchanged across chains. So I'm just going to say that, yeah, from my perspective, I would say it's definitely the present. It's going to provide what it needs. Let's say cross-chain liquidity, etc. For example, interop. You can send your NFTs. For example, gaming. It's causing the boom these days. So it's definitely serving the purpose for now, but it needs to maybe taken up a little for mainstream adoption, or to be called as the future.
Yeah, so cross-chain is the present and the near future, but it brings up some pretty interesting questions in terms of security. With a lot of these cross-chain solutions, you're increasing vulnerabilities and the surface area of attacks. So many of you have probably heard of this famous hacker named Avi Eisenberg. He hacked a Filipino marketplace called Mango Markets recently, and this last week he tried to hack Aave unsuccessfully. Vitalik, Samrat mentioned a Vitalik essay from earlier this year. Vitalik Buterin has written about multi-chain versus cross-chain and the vulnerabilities in cross-chain technology. He gives an example of, let's say you have 100 ETH and you transfer 100 ETH to Solana, and then you have wrapped ETH, but then there's a 51% attack on Ethereum. So at that point, there's a major vulnerability. And this is the kind of vulnerability that you should expect in cross-chain solutions. And so Vitalik, his vision of the future is going to be a multi-chain solution. And if there's anyone from Polkadot or Cosmos here, your input would probably be the most valuable, because that's exactly the kind of problem that these layer 0 solutions are trying to solve.
Yeah, I think all of this is fine, but the most fundamental thing is, can I have an identity which I control, which governments don't control or anybody else doesn't control, right? And can I use that identity to log into any kind of dApp, to any kind of system, metaverse? Can I have the same identity? The biggest problem in today's world is your reputation is something you can't take from one platform to the other. So you may have Samrat may have 100,000 followers on Twitter, but that's not something that you can monetize, right? So if there is a way to kind of create your identity which can work across different systems, which you control, I think the problem is solved.
Now, Don, you mentioned about the cross-chain and multi-chain as well. And of course, there's a lot of understandings of the differences between both of this chain. Don, I would like to pluck your brain juices, particularly on this subject, because there are different experts and really different people suggesting on that, and the vulnerabilities and the struggles as well between this chain. Could you probably further elaborate as to how do you really envision first is the differences between the cross-chain and the multi-chain, and really what will be the challenges with the development as it goes by?
So Samrat mentioned that there's been a lot of VC activity in cross-chain startups, cross-chain solutions. When I'm thinking about a multi-chain solution, I'm thinking probably an open protocol that does not look like a private company. That's probably the best decentralized solution and likely the safest. But the people that would be developing this would be doing this out of the kindness of their hearts, or to advance technology here. So it's really hard to predict when a solution like that comes out.
Neil and Samrat, if there's a crystal ball right in front of you right now, how exactly are you going to envision a cross-chain dApp to be like? How would you describe your most ideal cross-chain dApp to be like?
Sure. So let me take that one first. I think the ideal. So the standards are being created as we speak. I don't think anybody has a clear view of, or at least I'm yet to see a clear view of a future standard which will be absolutely ideal for calling it a multi-chain future or cross-chain future. But I'm yet to see, let's say, a good balance between permissionlessness, security, privacy. Privacy. When I say privacy, it's on-chain privacy. So if somebody is able to solve that triad, I think that's something which is yet to be seen. So it's as of now, there are security standards which are out there, which which cross-chain operators or bridges can comply to and become the best as of now. The other side is also on the business side. Imagine if you were not able to take advantage of the liquidity pools, across chains. What would that entail? Because the number of users currently, if we were to, reality be told, the number of users or the adopters of DeFi are very few in the world, right? And they're the same actors who are now using multiple dApps across chains, etc. So the liquidity there's gonna be a crunch, I believe, if the chains are removed, if the bridges are removed from the equation. So yeah, I think I would say, from my perspective, the ideal future for a cross chain would be, absolutely secure, private, interchangeable chain, which is helping people preserve their online privacy as well, on-chain privacy as well. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah. So, how much do you think all of us are worth? Facebook, Google, they make about $100 billion, right? So we have 7 billion people. So each person has an identity, and each person has a net worth which we don't realize, right? Because we are the product. So people analyze our data, decide where to send us for food, to meet other people. The point is, each individual has an identity, and there is a worth to that identity. It's just that we don't know, because we are so much into the Facebook, the Google, and all these kind of worlds. So the point is, if you have an identity which can take your reputation across different dApps, then there is value to it. So, and if you can monetize it, so.
Neil, I couldn't really agree more. And this is the kind of conversation that I always have with the Web3 people. And here we are every day on our phones, and we're just feeding so much information. We're feeding so much as insights to Instagram, to TikTok, and without them realizing that their private information has been exposed. And each and every information and every time on second is that we actually on the phone using these apps, we're just adding the values of all this apps itself. And that's hence why we are here today. And probably you guys are being here today, because to truly really immersing ourselves into the powers of decentralization, to give back the powers to people like us. But of course, as Samrat, I think I also have to conclude that as much as we realize this, it's also important that it all goes back to what's the case study, the metrics, and it's not even vanity metrics that we're talking about. What are the number of users? What is going to be the growth? What's the revenue and all that? So yeah, it's there. Do you guys agree with me in that way?
Absolutely,
in this narrative?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think, and actually, Don would also know a lot, because they're seeing a lot of growth, especially in these markets, right? And especially in the region where we are currently. That the users are, they came in the past couple of years, and the good part is, a lot of them have stayed in. We are in November of 2022, probably not the best month, or 2020 has not been the best year for the crypto world. But I'm glad that a lot of people are building. We saw a lot of builders in ETHVietnam as well. I'm really excited to meet a lot of you. So the good thing is, how I see it is, the market is falling. A lot of big currencies have lost a lot of their market value, but in the Web3 world, the prices of cryptocurrencies are like the leading indicator of innovation, right? You see prices increasing, and a lot of developers will just flock there, and then prices falling, and the people will start leaving, etc. But I still see a lot of people are stuck around, and a lot of users are getting onboarded into new apps. So that simply means that people have sort of crossed that bridge over of, that trust has built up on this ecosystem, where they're not worried about the prices of cryptocurrencies anymore. They're more inclined towards utilizing the value which is coming out of it, right? In terms of, let's say, DeFi protocols, or the kind of GameFi protocols, or CarbonFi things, the stuff that we are seeing here. So it's amazing to see, the kind of users which are coming in and staying in the Web3 ecosystem.
Actually, as we were speaking about Web3, I just realized as well, there's really one very important person that's sitting right beside me. Of course, from Amazon Web Services. And of course, Amazon is moving into the Web3, but of course, very strong in the Web2 as well. Do you have any other narrative from what I just said just now? Because I guess hopefully that really didn't come too offensive for your organization. Because I think this is the only panel discussions that really has a combination of like Web2 and also Web3 companies as well. But Don, do you have any narrative to really add on from what we were discussing about this now?
Well, so there was discussion earlier. Neil was talking about ownership in Web 2 and how companies like Facebook and Google are able to monetize your identity. And this is kind of the big promise of Web 3 and a big value of the tokens. So just to kind of elaborate what Neil was talking about here, there's this narrative now that tokens are supposed to be really scammy, and if someone offers you a token, don't take it. But the vision that Chris Dixon from Andreessen Horowitz talks about is that if you're an early adopter in a project, you're building so much value. If you were one of the early users for YouTube that was posting cat videos, and then YouTube became this billion-dollar business, shouldn't you have gotten some ownership stake there too? So something that I would push back on right now is that tokens are all scams. A lot of them may be scams. A lot of them just may be failed startups. I was a failed startup founder before. I wasn't trying to do a scam. I just wasn't successful. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of these token backed founders. So, if we can use events like this for ETHVietnam to legitimize tokens, because I think they're a major innovation, because it's so hard for founders in countries like Vietnam to raise money. ICOs, IDOs have brought so much liquidity into the ecosystem, and that's been incredibly valuable.
So I think the next question that I'm going to pose up, I think something that's very relevant to everyone in this hall. Of course, this year, 2022, has been one of the most challenging years in the entire Web3 space since its birth. Exactly how many years ago? 14 years ago? 14 years ago? Yeah. And of course, without mentioning names, we all do know that with 3 major companies collapsed this winter year itself. And in addition, a total of 2.3 billion of assets have been hacked from projects day to date, and which results 70 to 80% drop in most of the token value if we take a look at the top 100 tokens in the exchange. Now, gentlemen, what really does this mean of the cross-chain debt developments from here?
See, I think we should not be too worried about the short-term things. There will be ups and downs. There is a study by Pew Research which says that countries which adopt digital identities, their developing countries, their GDP will grow by 6%. And developed countries, the GDP will grow by 3%. So at the end of the day, Web3 is there for the future, right? There will be tokens, there will be projects, there will be companies which will go and come. But at the end of the day, Web3, digital identity, all these things are very, very critical for the growth of most economies. That's my belief.
Yeah. So just to add to that, so and great facts that you presented, others. I think bad actors have played a big role in shaping up this industry. And bad actors from both sides. There are people who try to do unscrupulous things, and there are people who try to hack from the outside. And you gave a great example of Avid. Some hacks are failed. Some hacks result in the biggest hacks, and they are like in the news. And I think all of us at some level, people who are in this room would have had chances to explain to their friends, family, co-workers that when there's a hack, it's not Ethereum which is hacked, it's not Bitcoin which is hacked, it's probably an exchange which got down, it's probably a bridge which got down. So I think that whole curve, which is we've we are now past that, and a lot of learnings have come out of those incidents. So I would say, I mean, it's not good because people are losing money. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. I recently came across somebody which is like a 10-year-old company, and they had about 70% of their net worth on one of the recent. They lost one of their. They lost 70% of the net worth on one of the recent takedowns, if we could call it. I would, again, not taking names, but those are the. I think we are now past all of that, and we keep learning and growing, and there are standards which are coming. I think the important thing now which I'm seeing is, as part of EEA, we are creating a lot of standards, and there's a ton of, and we are not creating on our own. It's a whole community effort. Tons of companies have come together and they are contributing to these standards. It's as good as looking 10 years back and saying, when the cloud was a new thing, when cloud was new, then the big fours of the cloud came together and they say, you know what, we are going to create a cloud security alliance and we're going to create standards for security. If no government, no regulator is creating it for us because they may not understand it at the moment, let's create it for ourselves and become self-regulatory, right? That's what they did. So I see similar things happening now. So it will eventually lead to a safer Web3 for all of us. That's what I believe.
So I want to add one point, right? Actually, you made a very good point. It's all about, again, centralization. So things that are failing are not truly decentralized. That's where the problem is. So
Absolutely. Thanks, Neil, for adding on that. And that's exactly why we're here talking about this topic. Don, do you have anything else to add?
So a lot of the price declines are in centralized exchanges. And so this capital is flowing to decentralized exchanges and cold wallets. Ledger is hitting record numbers here. So this narrative that crypto is dying quickly because FTX and a few other exchanges are doing badly seems to be way off. And if you thought of this as a buying opportunity, if there are any Bitcoin maxis in the audience, if you're seeing this news and you're thinking that this is a buying opportunity, the price of Bitcoin has not dropped that much. So that should tell you something, that that crypto is very resilient here, and the parts that are the most decentralized are the parts that are the strongest.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to shift gear a little bit. So we all know that it's not going to be a bit of roses right over here when it comes to development, right? And probably maybe, ETHVietnam focuses so much as about hackathon, build-a-thon, and all that. So let's just really go into some of the challenges right now. The cross-chain protocol enables us interoperability between unrelated blockchain ecosystem. Now, similarly, I'm just really keeping it simple so everyone able to understand. Now, imagine this as it's like an acting bridge. So probably maybe so you guys can walk me through it. Now, I would really like to plug your brain juice and thoughts on what could really possibly go wrong with this blockchain bridge, and what are the vulnerabilities like when it comes to development. Maybe just for the for the builders here and also for the coders here as well. Don, you want to start first?
So I mentioned earlier this Vitalik essay where he talks about transferring 100 ETH to the Solana ecosystem, where you'd have wrapped Ethereum, and then there's a 51% attack on Ethereum. The thing Vitalik states is that the peg between the two ecosystems would be lost, and then you would probably have financial contagion, and that's just two ecosystems. If you do it on additional ecosystems like 3, 4, 5, then contagion would spread. This is ironic because the reason we're doing cross-chain is to provide liquidity across ecosystems. And probably the best case right now is AnyCall. AnyCall is a cross-chain protocol that has helped Curve. So if any of you have used the DeFi protocol Curve, this is like a good scenario. The bad scenario is the system gets hacked and your ecosystem market collapses like 80% overnight, and this spreads to 5 other ecosystems. So that's the risk, and that's why you should all be thinking about security from the very beginning.
Guys, as we only have 5 more minutes for this session, oh man, time flies when I'm really having a great time on the stage right over here. Can we have additional 15 more minutes since this is the last session? Just kidding. Anyway, guys, let's just get the ball rolling. What about passing the ball to the audience as well? Does any one of you have any questions in relation to this topic? Okay.
Anybody? All right, yeah. We can hear you then.
The security doesn't increase much after like 4 months of developing and bug fixing, and it doesn't like good for the budgets of what the project are doing. Instead of that, instead of focusing on cybersecurity, most of the projects just like hiring more people to make the problems like play away by including more features, making more UI UX, and they don't like focus much on cybersecurity. So like the hacking problem is just like increased by the time, because like when I researched about many projects in the past, like 90% of them doesn't even care about cybersecurity. Oh, it's get hacked. It's get hacked. So that's the problem that I have found about the community of the blockchain developers. They don't care much about cybersecurity at all. So do we have to have some sort of way to like educating them about cybersecurity?
So if I'm going to simplify his questions, cross-chain has been really rather expensive, and people don't really quite pay attention on the security. And of course, there's so much about cybersecurity right now, and which everyone is pinpointing each other parties on cybersecurity, easily to be hacked. So what are your thoughts on this, guys?
Let me get this off. So yes, it is expensive to do bridges which are really secure, and you know, there's nothing which is hack proof. I would not say that you can get to 100%, but it takes a lot of engineering effort, and the talent which can do that is very scarce. So it is expensive to get those people to do the things that we wanted them to do, right? The other thing is, as you said, you need education as well, and I think it should become part of blockchain education. By the way, EA is also creating a education standard, so it has got auditing as part of the curriculum, etc. So pick up the standards which are out there. You know, there is cross-chain interoperability group as well. So there's a whole working group where you could seek guidance from the biggest of the players in the industry. Auditors play a key role. You know, when you're launching a new product, auditors play a key role. But then, you know, just like any other business, there are tons of auditors out there. There are tons of their quality standards are very different. So I think standards are the way to go. So try and comply to a standard which suits your purpose, and keep evolving. I think that's also extremely important. Keep evolving as you identify new risks to your product or application.
So, see, one way these problems can be solved, like for example, if I have a Samrat.wallet or Samrat.nft, I don't need to ask Samrat what's his address to send money. It's crypto today, but it could be central, backchain, currency in any other country. The point is, I mean, some part of this is available, at least in India. You have a UPI which helps you send money, but the problem is still you don't have an identity. So everything that you send is visible to the other person. Everybody uses your data to kind of mine you and sell things to you. The point is, some of the problems that you are asking, if I have an identity which does not connect to my email, the normal email, my email is private, my identity is private, I think I can achieve a lot of things. So
The only thing I would add here is that if you are doing a bridge and you're worried about security, a very practical way of getting help here is maybe to have like white hat bonuses or rewards so people can spot your vulnerabilities here. And the other thing too is to be a little bit more sympathetic to that for the hackers who are finding these vulnerabilities and making a lot of money off of them. You know, a big idea in Web3 is decentralization and deregulation, and that code is law. So if you're going to be in this industry, you should take that very seriously.
Just to add one last point, which is don't go for band-aid solutions, you know. And the band-aids rip off, they really cause some pain.
Last but not least, guys, give us your best, short, concise advice to all of the cross-chain dApps developers out there. What would it be?
Think about how you would hack your own protocol.
Very well said. Neil, yourself?
No, I think just keep building. I think it's very important to believe. See, there will be bad times in life. You may not have investors. You may not have VCs lining up. But I think it's very important to believe what you're building, helps the community. I think if you believe in community, if you believe that what you're building has some value, I don't think you need to worry about anything.
Great points, guys. So yeah, I think just to add on to that, keep your end users in mind. Keep building. I'm a big proponent of security, so keep security as part of your architecture right from the beginning. And yeah, I think best part is, this is how I see it. This is a David versus Goliath, story. Web3 is solving it. You don't have to be a large company and have large data centers to build the biggest app anymore. You can deploy your app into the blockchains and just be the sole person running that whole company, which has got 1 million users. So just keep your confidence up. The money will just flow in, and the best kind of money is customer money, when you start making revenue. So yeah, just keep your spirits up in the current market and keep building. Thank you.
Very well said. You just got to bury it. It's the next 12, 18 months. Just 12, 18 months. That's it. That's all we need.
Just stay alive,
Just to stay alive, that's right, in the market before the next bull run. Once again, thank you so much, Sam, Neil, and Don. And once again, to everyone in this ballroom over here, massive thank you for the undivided attention, for the undivided time that you have shared with this. This wraps up the cross-chain Web3, the future of dApps, and we do hope that this session has given you some inkling, some takeaways of building up dApp and just to really stay alive for the next 12, 18 months before we enjoy the next bull. Once again, a massive thanks to Suchi Blockchain Hub for really organizing this wonderful session, this spectacular inaugural ETHVietnam. With that being said, thank you so much, guys, and let us continue building and continue hustling.
Thank you so much, panels. Ladies and gentlemen, with the recent sharing of experts, we also realize the importance of cross-chain Web3 and the future of dApp. Besides, we would like to thank our experts for the recent sharing. In the next part, we will hear more about the practical experiences of the experts from today's program of ETHVietnam 2022. But before we begin our evening session, let's take a lunch break, enjoy delicious food at the stalls, and indulge ourselves on the lawn. We will be back with the demo pitch day shortly in the afternoon. Thank you.